So hello and welcome to the Lewis Nichols Show, and I'm really excited to bring on my guest today. It's Sam Palladio. How are you?
Hello, Lewis. I'm doing really well, thanks, man. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. I mean, before we come on, you said it's nice to talk to someone, you know, from home, but I'm actually literally from your home in the sense where I'm from Penzance.
Well, how about that?
So, like, literally, like, because you're from Penzance.
Were we at the same school, or I mean, how close do we get? No, okay.
So not at the same. Well, I don't know. I was in a place called Humphrey Davy.
That's where I went.
Oh, okay. So how old are you then?
So I've just turned 34.
So I'm 28. So
okay, a few years behind. But yeah, I was a Humphrey Davy kid.
That's crazy. Because literally, when I realised you're from Penzance, I was like, okay, this is it. Because I live in Cheltenham now. I moved a couple of years ago. But yeah, born and bred. And,
right.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Wow. Small world, eh? Small world.
Do you miss it? I mean, the only things I miss are pasties. That's probably it for me.
Well, yeah, and you know what? For my 34th birthday, so that was only last week, my girlfriend made pasties for me. So it was perfect. She did a really good job, really, really good job. So yeah, definitely, because I haven't been able to get home this year at all. I was home in January, and so yeah, man, pasties and a good bit of Cornish air is what I miss.
Do you know, I've got to say, your career so far is just incredible. The fact that you've come from Cornwall, and just the success that you've had. And I mean, you're here today because you're promoting your new Christmas song, Under the Tree, which is just, again, I think it's your vocals which makes this song one of those that I think is going to be, you know, every Christmas you have a playlist and only the kind of really good tracks make it. Yours is one of those. It's just in a long time, I think it's one of the best Christmas songs out there at the moment, definitely.
Thank you so much, man. Well, I had a lot of fun doing it. I actually wrote it for this Netflix film I'm in at the moment, The Princess Switched Again, and so you know, it was great. I wrote a song for the first movie a couple of years ago, and then this one came around, and they asked if I'd write another song for the film, and I just wanted to also write a song that was not so specific for the film, but something that could be released and could be, bring some joy and get the Christmas vibes going. So yeah, really pleased it's had a nice reception so far, and thanks for enjoying it.
I mean, you've got such a rawness to your voice, which is what I love. But for you, obviously a great actor, but one of your loves is obviously music. So to actually get to do both, that must just be a dream for you, because the fact that you're writing music, performing it, and then acting in the film must just be like, okay, this is like, I've definitely done well.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I could never choose what I wanted to do when I was a kid, so I loved music. I loved playing in bands and, like pubs in Cornwall and stuff, as a teenager. And then I went to drama school in London, but I did a actor musician degree. So that was where, I went to Rose Bruford College, which is awesome. And they're the only place that did this type of degree where you could, train as an actor, but also use your music skills and write music. And so it was like writing music for Shakespeare and for like underscoring scenes and like bringing live music into theater. And so that really set me off on the perfect path. And then I've been, really lucky to have landed jobs where, like the show Nashville, obviously my kind of big break in a sense where, playing a songwriter, actually singing, like it's my voice, I wrote music for that show as well. And so I try and bring a little bit of music into everything I do. So that was what was great about the Christmas movies, the Princess Switch stuff, is that, the character Edward is a prince, he's not, dabbles a little piano, which they threw in there because they knew I played. But, it's not a singing role. It's none of that. But, I was able to at least on that first film, sort of ask if they would like a piece of music for the movie, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to. And then so I managed to like push a song in there, and same for this one for the round two.
I mean, obviously this is the sequel, The Princess Switched Again, and the first film did incredibly well. So when you heard that they're going to do a sequel, but were you ever reluctant in the sense where there's always that kind of anxiety? Will this do as well as the first film? I mean, over 17 million, I believe, views on the first. So were you ever anxious? Like, do we do this? Do we not? Like, is it going to be well received?
I think, I think because the first film, it had such a great reception, and it was sort of unexpected in a sense where, we knew we were making a fun Christmas movie. Vanessa's fantastic. It's chaos, just a lot of good Christmas fun. So when the reception came out, I think we kind of knew as we were wrapping up the first film, like, there's definitely I think people are going to want to see where this story goes, and in a sense, we couldn't really go wrong, given the love the first one had, and so then when they sent the script through, I was like, I wonder what they're going to do, and so I started reading it, and then the first sort of 20 pages or so seemed okay, relatively safe, and okay, there are these characters again, and okay, we're seeing them in some slightly different scenarios, and then the big reveal was that Vanessa plays the third double, the triple. And so I was like, okay, people are going to love this. It's even I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That's awesome. So when I read that, I knew we were kind of onto people were going to dig it.
Well, I mean, the film's out now on Netflix. So what kind of reaction have you had from the second? Has it kind of lived up to that expectation? Because, I mean, it is incredible to watch. For those that haven't watched it as well, for those tuning in that, have not seen the film, tell them roughly what they can expect from the new film.
Yeah, well, if people have seen the first film, you meet these characters, sometimes past as always, but it's got the heart, it's got the fun. I think this time around the Netflix upped the budget, so it looks great. Like we've if there were a lot of Christmas decorations in the first film, this is like flooded in the best way. And so it's definitely the reception's been so good so far, and people just losing their minds over it. And and it came out on the 19th of November, so just over a week ago or so, which is pretty early for a Christmas film. So I wouldn't be starting to watch. I mean, I guess it's the 1st of December today, so maybe as we enter December, I'd maybe put on a little bit of a Christmas film or a song or something. But people are starting early this year, which is understandable. Decorations up. So I think it definitely put you in the spirit. And then I was just really excited that they used this my song in it, and it had such a great placement at the end of the movie, and it kind of plays over the final the final act. And so yeah, double whammy for me.
I mean, it's probably way too early to even ask this because you're still just, the film's just released, but is it true that there is a third installment that people can look forward to? Because I know there's been rumors, is that confirmed?
It is confirmed. There's a third. There's going to be a third. So, we're trying to figure out. Actually, I think some of the production starts very soon. So I guess the timeline will be they want the third one out for next year. So I just got to Los Angeles to start another TV project for a bit. But so I think we're figuring out when we're going to throw Edward into it and when I can get to set and stuff. So, but yeah, I think the story is continuing, and so I'm really pleased to be back, and it's such a great cast. We had a lot of fun. It's not like some deep dark acting project where you've got to really blood and sweat and tears. This is just a lot of laughs. So yes, why not do a third?
I mean, for many watching will know you for your time in Nashville, just an incredible and hugely successful series. How did that actually come about for you? Because I know that's obviously in America. So how did that kind of transition from you in the UK going over to America and working on that show? How did it all materialize?
Well, it was I moved from Cornwall to London. I did my acting degree there, and then I graduated. I've been doing lots of theatre because my sort of music skills had me in a couple of productions. I was in a show called Dreamboats and Petticoats in the West End, which is like a 50s rock and roll show, but it was all actor musician stuff. So the whole score, all the songs, I think there were 40 songs, were all played by us actors. So I was a character in the show, and I was the bass player for the whole gig, you know, and like an understudy for the lead and all this kind of stuff. So I'd done a couple of years of that, and then I'd left and I'd started doing little bit parts on TV, because I'd said to my agent at the time, you know, I'd really love to, you know, do some TV. Is that possible? And, you know, I ended up getting rid of her because she told me that I should just, you know, stick to doing musical theatre, and that I wasn't right for television work, and basically because she didn't have any connection. So
yeah.
So I got rid of her, and then actually a few little TV roles started coming in. I did this show Episodes on BBC Two with Matt LeBlanc from Friends, which is a hilarious show. Stephen Mangan, Tamsin Gregg, Matt LeBlanc, you know, it was a winning combination. So I played a little American role in that, which was really my first like relatively exposed TV gig. And that got me an American manager. So yeah, early 2012, I had a couple of American managers come to London, and I sat down and met with them, and they signed me up, you know, to be represented in the States. And then literally in about 3 weeks, I got an audition from the American team for this new show that was going to be called Nashville. And they wanted actors who could sing and really play, and they didn't want a load of actors that was just going to fake it and like mime, like crappy like guitar miming. And so I just sent in an audition tape literally from my little flat in London, really badly lit. I think I had a really crap, you know, like laptop at the time with a bad webcam, and but I played a James Taylor song on guitar and sung and did a couple of scenes, and somehow that managed to get me the gig. I don't know why they were looking in the UK, but I think they'd done a big search, and they knew that they had Connie Britton at that point and Hayden Panettiere from Heroes, and I think they could afford to take a chance on like a new unknown actor for the role of Gunnar, which was who I played. And so I just got super lucky, and then a few weeks later flew out to Nashville, shot the pilot, the first episode, and even then you never know if a show is going to go. So because there's then a couple of months where you wait, and the network decides if it's good enough, you know, to make the cut. And then they decided it was, and then we ended up doing six series, which was mad. So I've spent, you know, the last 8 years living in Nashville, which I love, and I still live there, and you know, and very much got roots there and stuff now, and it's such a cool place. But yeah, that's the Nashville story.
I mean, you were saying there about the cast actually being musicians. So for you to be around like-minded people, you know, not only can they act, but that they sing, they play instruments. Was that like an amazing experience for you, just to be around so many like-minded people? Because I guess you were able to relate to them, have that instant connection.
Yeah, it was a very special show because the fact that we actually filmed it in Nashville, I mean, that was a huge thing to begin with, because you know, we could have been on a little set somewhere in Alabama, or somewhere where there wasn't much culture, or somewhere where, you know, music wasn't in the air. But literally we're shooting in Nashville, so you know, we could go downtown, see incredible bands, see just like guys playing on the street who would like blow your mind. And you know, me being such a avid live music fan, and you know, my whole childhood was like going to, I didn't really do like theater, like Amdram theater or anything. It was my like learning was like I said, sort of in little Cornish rock bands, and you know, and so I just, you know, adored like live music and like grungy stuff, and so it was just a crazy time, but we could all bond on the fact that we loved music, and that, you know, and so my buddy Chris Carmack, who played Will Lexington in the show, you know, still one of my best friends to this day, and you know, so we'd finish work and, hey man, you know, I don't know, somebody huge is playing at the arena tonight. Let's just try and get a ticket. Yeah, all right. So it was such a dream.
I mean, the great thing about the show as well is you could tour the show. There's not many shows you can actually say, oh, let's go on tour. But you went in the UK and did a tour. So that must have been great for you, you know, to actually get to play live.
Well, yeah, and it was amazing to like show audiences that we were, you know, singers and songwriters, and I can't really imagine having been like a fan, like if I was not in the show and been a fan of Nashville, and then like seeing the cast come to the stage and like do it, but it would have been cool. So and we got these, you know, we got to play 3 nights at the Royal Albert Hall. We sold out the O2 Arena. we did an arena tour of the UK and Ireland, and like we did it, I think for three or four consecutive years. We'd finish filming that series and then fly straight to the UK to do these big shows, because that's where, we'd done some touring in the US, but we realized there's this massive market in the UK, because country music was, at that point, it still is, growing day by day. So it was like it felt like rock stars, absolutely. And for me as a musician and a songwriter, I've been this whole this year actually in the studio making my first album, and we're pretty much finished with it. And so to have done this, like, have built a fan base, certainly in the UK and elsewhere, through the TV show, through fans that had come to like, they know we can do it live, and so for years I've had people like, can't wait for the albums, that, your record, you to release music, and so it's been so great to like have snowballed, Christmas pun, that, but and having put these little Christmas songs out, it's a nice, like, it's sort of testing the water as well. And I think my song that came out last week's got about 350,000 plays on Spotify so far and stuff, and it keeps getting added to playlists, and it's like, well, hey, this is so cool. So I'm excited to get this through this to then get my kind of music that isn't Christmas related out. But
I mean, Sam, I'll tell you what I would have loved. It would never have happened, but in regards to Nashville and the tour, you guys doing Maisie Day. I mean, imagine that in Penzance. That would have been like a poster you would have double took and be like, really?
Is this, well, over the years, I've definitely brought cast members through Penzance, which has been hilarious. And I think I was there a couple of Maisie days ago, and like I said, we both went to Humphrey Davy, and there was a few teachers there that Simeon Royal, who was my music teacher.
No way, yeah.
Is really kind of, he actually set me on like a path back at school. He was such a champion, and we did this like Blues Brothers cover band thing for a couple of years at school, which like gave me a load of confidence to do that. And so it's very much a lot to thank Penzance for. Yeah.
You were saying there about your debut album is nearly ready, and I mean, I'm really excited for this, because I know over the years there's been it was going to be released a few years ago, and then I know there was talk maybe last year. So I guess there's a lot of your life and a lot of years that's going into this album. It's not going to be one of those kind of rushed, we got to do it within a year. There's years worth in here.
Yeah. And it's been a learning process these few years of being on Nashville, because when I got there and I was writing songs, and I was sort of writing songs by myself, and which I think were okay, but then I learned a hell of a lot more about songwriting and the craft of it, and just writing with Nashville musicians and everything. And I think those songs that I recorded an EP, I think in 2015 or something. I'd done 6 songs, did the full studio thing, and then just sat on it for a second, and then I started writing stuff that I think was better. I was like, so I'm sort of glad in a way that it has taken this long, because it's been a rough couple of, I lost my mum almost 2 years ago to the day, and so it's been a really tough time, but I think there's been a lot of creativity that's sort of unlocked from that, and so this album is going to be, for her, it's got the weight of some of these the hard times, because there's no point like singing about song like I'm on a TV show, I'm the best, what I mean? It's like nobody cares about that, and so I think this I think the music has now got a depth to it that it didn't have, and I'm really proud of a lot of the songs. I actually wrote a lot of the songs in the UK last year, because I wanted the album to have like a British sound. I wanted it to have like, as opposed to, because it's not a country album, I think a lot of people thought, I'm on a country show, I'm going to put out a country album, like it's a no-brainer. But, for me, that was never part of my DNA. It was, I grew up listening to like metal and to like British bands, and everything from like Rage Against the Machine to Blur to like The Killers to James Taylor to Paul Simon to so it was a really eclectic mix of stuff, and so I think having had some time to really delve into the songs, and actually I was supposed to record this album in March in London, and it was maybe going to be an EP, like 6 songs or something, and And that didn't happen because the pandemic hit, and it's meant that I've been in Nashville, and I've started working with this producer Soren Hansen, who's amazing, and he's in the band New Politics, who are a great like indie rock band, and so he's a bit of a mad scientist in the studio. So we've had like the luxury of 6 months to start. He actually produced the Christmas song, which was the first thing we dabbled in, and I thought, oh man, I had a really good time doing that, and he had some cool ideas. And so then I said, hey, maybe we can do a couple of songs, and then it's turned into like, well, actually we've got time, so let's do a whole album. So yeah, it's been, you know, the timeline, it's taken a while, but hopefully it's for the best, you know.
Do you know what I love? Just hearing you talk there is like the passion to shine through. And I think that's, you know, you define an artist, the fact that you write the songs, you know, sing them, you play the instruments. I think that's incredible. I'm really looking forward to it, because for those that haven't listened to your music, you've got this such a rawness in the voice, and I'm looking forward to the album, because I think a lot of people are going to connect to the lyrics. You know, you put a lot of time, and you mentioned that you've lost your mum, and I think that with that, a lot of that's going to go into the album, like you just said, and that's going to reach out to a lot of people. And I think when you can connect to a lyric, that's really special. So I think you're going to get an incredible reaction to it.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm proud of what we've done so far. So yeah, I'm hoping it you know, like you say, people can find some connection in it.
Am I right in saying as well, you worked with Biffy Clyro? Like, did you do a show with them or a tour?
Yeah, they've been like one of my favorite bands, if not my favorite band, for years. And they played a show in Nashville. Actually, my dad introduced me to them, like the music, you know, because he was always like finding these cool bands back in the day. I remember him watching Jules Holland and being like, oh, I've just seen this cool band called Muse. And I was like, oh, shut up, Dad, I don't care. And then I was like, oh yeah, they're really good. And same with Biffy Clyro, like, you should check out this band Biffy Clyro. I was like, shut up, Dad. Oh yeah, they're really good. And so yeah, I'd never seen them live, but they played a little tiny show in Nashville about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And I thank God, like, I managed to finish work early enough. We were filming to like get down to the venue, and I did just a tweet, like something like, you know, just finished work, can't wait to see Biffy Clyro, you know, like, my God, I love him, or something. And like, as I got there, I checked my messages, and I had like a message from like the Biffy Clyro account being like, oh, I can't wait to meet you, or something. I was like, what? And I got to the front door, and there were 2 like backstage passes for me. I was like, what the fuck, what's going on? And so watched the show. It was incredible. And then was like, well, maybe I felt a bit like weird, like, I don't know if I should go backstage, or like, because backstage it was this tiny club that I'd played myself, and I knew how small it was back there. I was like, okay. And then like, so I sort of stepped around the corner, like waving a pass kind of thing, and like Simon's just like come out the shower with his like, he had his like hair wrapped up in a towel and a dressing gown. I was like, oh my God, it's great to meet you. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So, and they'd watched every episode of Nashville. So they were like fans of me, which was so weird. So then anyway, they're lovely, lovely guys. So we just kept a friendship going. And then I ended up signing with their booking agent, and they were doing like an acoustic tour a couple of years ago, which was so cool. And then I managed, you know, that I got a gig opening for their tour. So we did, I think, just 3 shows, but it was like Copenhagen and Hamburg and Oslo. So I got to like get to know the boys and like tour with them for a minute. And then like Simon and I wrote a song for Nashville, which they didn't want to use eventually, which like, you guys are mad, but we've kept a relationship going. And you know, I've been sending him bits of the record, and you know, he's a definite like mentor for me. And I think for me, like the Biffy Clyro sound is, you know, I'd love to be doing that kind of thing. And I think they skirt the line so well between just like such satisfying prog metal and then like, you know, the most sing-along pop choruses. And I think that, yeah, so like a guiding light is like, I wonder what Biffy would think of these songs, you know? So I'm always trying to bring a little bit of that coolness into my music. So yeah, I mean, I hope we've been talking about writing a song for this record, and, you know, maybe there's a collaboration somewhere down the line. I would die. I would love it. But we have written one together. So, you know, hopefully that means we can write some more.
Joe, normally when I do an interview with someone that's 34, there's never as much to talk. Like what you've done already is just like, I've got all these notes on the card just to like, and I'm just like, all these films you've done, working with Justin Timberlake, Ben Affleck, it's incredible. You must literally look back and be like, yeah, I've done pretty well.
It's been mad. It's been like, it's almost a bit of a blur, because the Nashville show was such a, you know, being plucked out of obscurity. And then just all these things started happening. And it's, yeah, I do look back so far, and yeah, like working with Justin Timberlake, you know, which I got like straight away after booking the Nashville show. And I was in like Puerto Rico with Justin Timberlake and Ben. I didn't meet Ben at that point, but, so yeah, it's been a crazy ride. And hopefully, you know, putting this record out will open some doors. And then I really, you know, because that's such a part of me that people haven't really seen yet properly. So I'm super excited about that. And then, you know, I'm just in LA to start a new TV show with some amazing people. And so, you know, maybe some more opportunities will come along. And so I'm just going to keep riding it while it lasts.
Yeah, I'd love it if, you know, your dad, because I guess he's someone that, music wise, is he musical? Did you grow up like around it?
Yeah, I mean, Dad's a painter. Like Mum and Dad run a little art gallery in Marazion, which you'll know well,
yeah.
Called Avalon Gallery. And so Mum ran the art gallery for years, and Dad's a painter and a sculptor, and so but had guitars in the house. You know, he loves music just as much as I do, and he wasn't. You know, he was a musician as a kid. You know, a bit like me, but studied art. And my little brother's a a painter and an artist. And you probably know him, Max Scott. He was at Humphrey Davy at the same time. You're about the same age.
Absolutely,
but, yeah. But
I mean, I was saying, like, I'd love it if when you release this album, that if your dad's watching, say, Jules Holland, and then you're on there, because obviously he's always saying, oh, you need to look at the Muse and all these people that were on Jules Holland, and then actually, full cycle, you end up on there yourself, which is very likely.
Well, that's what I'm aiming. That's what I'm aiming for. You know, that would be a tick off the bucket list. You know, and I got to meet Jules a couple of years ago. I was on his radio show, so you know that was before any music was out. So you know, maybe he's maybe he'll take a liking to a song or two and get me on. Maybe we'll see.
Sam, honestly, this has been an absolute pleasure to get you on the show and just to talk about some of the projects that you've done. And I'd love it if you came back on when this album's out, because I'm genuinely excited for it. And it's been a pleasure. And your new single Under the Tree is out now. People can get it on all the main site streaming. I've got it on my Spotify playlist. It's my number 2 most listened to song already on my on repeat option. I've only had it for a week, so that shows how addictive it is.
Well, thanks, man. And yeah, I'd love to come back and do some more chatting once when that music's ready.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, well, yeah, nice to meet you, man.
Thank you.